that won't be a problem in Dreamweaver. So I don't know what it was on my computer that they would not open. So if you look in the home page on the assignments, I've added under the HTML structure part 2. I'm not going to be doing it so much by week. I'll put assignments out here by the chapters, and so there'll be a page that schedules. Like right now, I put this page out here. It says we will complete the exercise in chapter 5 in class, and you'll still upload them right here. There's an assignment here to be able to upload them. So the advantage to being in class is if you're not sure how to do them. But then the next one is that you will be assigned. Come on, open back up. Is chapter 6. So by next Monday night, before class on Tuesday, you need to post the chapter 6, and I'll try to kind of give an overview of chapter 6 too tonight. But then always what I do is if I go over it in class and you've missed something or you don't understand something that you've submitted, then you can still resubmit it after class. Because the exercises inside the chapters, if you've noticed, you have access through those materials to the answers, but I want to know that before you look at the answers that you try those, because you won't learn it if you don't. And then also I should be able to tell that you did it. It should have your name and some changes in there. And then the discussion is in that Don't Make Me Think book, and it will be due by next Monday night too, and it covers chapter 2 in that book, which is very short, not much to it, but we're trying to get to the point by midterm that we're able to work on an actual website. So we'll still be working through this learning web design, but we're going to, if you have an idea of like a nonprofit organization that needs a website and you want to work with a couple people on it, I'm going to try to have one that we can work on as a class, and then the online students, they will have to find something to either build of their own, or or they can find a nonprofit, a club, a church, or something like that they want to do website. Do you have a question, Tim? Well, that's awesome. If you want help, then we can use that as part of our as a project. Yeah, well, we could make that as the in-class students that come on Tuesday night, because we can at least touch base on that night and give each person a page or whatever. So by midterm, hopefully we'll know how to structure pages and what we want. And so she will be in charge of working with that team, Kayla will, to be the contact, to know exactly, because a lot of times people tell you they want websites. You'll find that out as you go through and they find out you can do it, but they don't know what they want, and they want you to figure out what they want. And that's something that you can't really do, because then you would get it all fixed and it's like, well, that's not what I wanted. So you have to lay something out design-wise, get them to give you the content that they want, and then as a group, we will use either XD or some type of tool to actually design the site and use a lot of the things that we're learning in that Don't Make Me Have to Think book to design it. And that'll be the first phase, is the design. And she can even start working on getting that information now. You don't have to wait till midterm to get that information. And then we can use this class time after that. If you can go through the book on your own, then we can use this class time to collaborate on actually building a live site. And if you have, any of you have another one that you want to do, then we can have 2 or 3 people work on one and 2 or 3 work on the other, because there's actually, I think, 9 or 10 students in this class. And then if we have more, and the online students, they can collaborate too. They just have to collaborate online. So that's a good way to do things, because in the real life environment that can happen. Okay, so this is the discussion that will be after you read chapter 2. You'll see how to do that. So tonight, let's go ahead, and if there are no questions, we'll go ahead and start in chapter 5, and you'll find that the files that you need, did you find those, Shai?
Yeah, they were in the
Course information, right? Yeah, if you were not able to get those at the site or whatever it told you to get them, they are also uploaded in a zip file. Okay, and so here are the files. So tonight we'll be using the chapter 5 files, but first let's go through some of the information here. Yeah, okay, so let me find my book here and get it. Oh, I already had it open somewhere. Here it is. Okay, so we did chapter 4, and so if you haven't completed or you don't understand the things we did in chapter 4, you might want to go through that again. But the important part, really, where we build a page semantically correct, is starting with chapter 5, which is called marking up text. So in this chapter, we're not going to do anything with style. What do we use to create style in our pages? Anybody know? I know Brianna does. What do we use? CSS, Cascading Style Sheets. That's what CSS stands for. But we don't even want to address style, which is different kinds of fonts, different size, different colors, borders, things like that is called style. What we want to do first is to mark up our site where that it is semantically correct. And here's what that means. So once you have the content that you want in your document, we're going to use the elements like you did in chapter 4, like you used a heading 1 and a heading 2. And I think we used a paragraph, not chapter 1, I mean chapter 4, the last chapter. And so we're going to learn exactly what, here's what it tells us semantically means. It is to code in a way that most accurately describes the content's meaning. If you don't like how it looks, change it with a style sheet. But a semantically marked up document ensures your content is available and accessible in the widest range of browsing environments, from desktop computers and mobile devices to assistive screen readers. So when it talks about a browser, there are so many different kinds of browsers. We're using Chrome, but there's also, what's another browser you all use? Does anybody use a different one? Safari. Okay, that's on the Macs. That's the only place you can use Safari. And it's a very good browser. What's another one? Firefox. That was the one before Chrome that was universal. That really is pretty standard and still keeps up with the standards the way the W3C sets it up. Okay. Yeah, that's terrible. Yeah. Yeah, that's on, that comes loaded. Yeah, Edge. Yeah, Edge is what comes loaded on Windows machines now instead of Internet Explorer. And it's probably better, but it took Microsoft a long time to decide they would be compliant with other browsers, and they're a little better. So what that meant is when you coded a web page, depending upon which browser you opened it in, it may look different. Now it's a lot closer. You don't really have as much issue there. But if you don't really care about the styling, and what I'm going to show you a little later on is that you can turn the style off in web pages and see the way they look without a style. For instance, let me show you something. There's a place called CSS Zen Gardens. I hope I get it right, .com. I think that's right. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. You see the beauty of CSS design. Now, there is all kinds of graphics here. There's different kinds of fonts. And look what it says. Here's the HTML file and here's the CSS file. Now, the words, if you change to here, look, the appearance is different, but every bit of content on here is exactly the same. How do I know that? Well, because if I go over and I download here the HTML file, it's going to be the same words as it was on, what was the first one here? No, that's a different one. So all of these have the same, see the road to enlightenment? So all of the text on here is the same, just the graphics and the CSS style. That's how much you can change a site. Yes?
I'm on exercise 5 too. Do you want it all to be on the same HTML thing? Or do you want them to be like exercise 1, exercise 2, exercise 3?
Oh, that's what we're going to do in class, right? So yeah.
I didn't know if you wanted it all together or just separate.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Okay, so we're doing, let me go down, let me download this file and show you what I'm talking about here. We're going to go to, where did I put this? Spring 20 maybe? Okay, this is CSS Zen Garden. Okay, so if I look at this particular file, I'm going to go ahead and open it with Dreamweaver because that's easier. Okay, so you see how this page looks? And there's no, the reason it's all, this is the text that that I can look at any page up here at CSS Zen Garden, no matter which style I pick, the text is going to be the same. It's the styles that are different. So here's all the different ones. And what happened is when people were first learning CSS, all of them came up with new designs, but you see the title, The Beauty of CSS Design, a demonstration of what can be accomplished through CSS-based design. So you see this text is all the same in every one of these files. So this is called semantically structuring the text or marking up the text, because I have a header 1 here. If you'll notice, this says H1, H2, and I have a section called header. So that is the section header, and the way I can tell in Dreamweaver is because it puts a little dotted line around it. So what we're going to do is learn to code all of our text first without making any kind of style to it. And so that's what chapter 5 and 6 are about. Well, actually in this book, it's until we get to the next section on CSS, which is, let me find it, part 3. So these chapters that we're doing right now are so important that you learn the basic elements and what you want to do. So in 5, the first thing we're going to talk about are paragraph elements or paragraph tags. So if you have, let me get this to do, oops, page scroll. Okay, so a paragraph element looks like this. It has an opening and a closing like this. So paragraphs are the most rudimentary elements of a text document. So remember last time I talked about how a word processor like WordStar, you used to have to mark it up like this. You used to have to put tags before and after to tell it how to display it. Well, that's what we have to do in a browser window because the browser doesn't know. So if we were typing this paragraph, then we would put, this is where the paragraph starts and this is where it ends. This is called a block element because it will automatically skip a line. So visual browsers nearly always display paragraphs on new lines with a bit of space between them by default. And that's important to us whenever we start applying CSS to it. Now, inline elements are called phrasing content. So if inside my paragraph, say I wanted this to be italicized, then I would use an inline tag called EM just for that one word inside the paragraph. And it would make it, and we're going to look at how that works. So here they're using a header. They're showing you what it would look like. This is an H1, this is an H2, H3, H4, H2, H4s, an H3, and an H2. So you see, the larger the number, the smaller the text, right? And headers are also what's called block elements, because you notice there's a line automatically beneath them. They skip a line. Then we have thematic breaks, which are called, there's one kind called a horizontal rule. So if you put an HR in your document, it's going to put this line, a horizontal rule. And when you get to where you can use styles, you can style those lines to be a certain color, different widths, different lengths. There's all that you can do. Then we have list, and there's three kinds of list we can use. Have you ever seen, like in Microsoft Word, how you go up and you pick list and you can put bullets or you can put numbers? Well, an unordered list is ones that have the bullets or the little circles. Ordered lists say 1, 2, 3, 4 or ABC, or those are ordered. Description lists are kind of like a definition in a dictionary. So here's an example of an unordered list, the code for it. Looks like this, but when you actually open it in the browser, it's going to look like that. Because this that says UL means unordered, so it's going to put the bullets there instead of numbers. And there's an ordered list. Okay, so let's see. Here's nesting list, which means I have an ordered list that starts here and ends here, but one of my list items has an unordered list in the middle of it. And you can also change the type of bullets by using a list style type, but we go over that more in the CSS. So there's a definition list. You see it has a definition, and then it has a word, a term, and then the definition. So the term is called a DT tag, and the DL, see here it is, DT, and then DD is the data definition, is what that stands for. So you have three kinds of lists that you can use. And here are more content elements. There's a block quote. So if you want a whole paragraph indented as a quote, then you use something called a block quote. So here's how it would look. Then there's pre-formatted text, figures, figure captions. Okay, so here's the first exercise we're going to do. So open up whichever editor that you want to use. If you want to do it with me, if you want to do it on your own, no problem. And we're going to go through and mark up a recipe. The owners of the Black Goose Bistro. If you want to use Dreamweaver, that's what I'm going to use to mark up with. If you're using your own computer, you might not have Dreamweaver loaded. But on this Mac, I do. How many's using Dreamweaver? Okay. It makes it a lot easier. I do the easy way. All right, so the owners of the Black Goose Bistro have decided to share recipes and news on their site. So in the exercise in this chapter, we'll assist them with content markup. In this exercise, you will find the raw text of a recipe. It's up to you to decide which element is the best semantic match for each chunk of content. You'll use paragraphs, headings, list, and at least one special content element. Okay, so your materials for chapter 5, exercise 1, going to be Where did I put that? Oh, where did it go? Command K. I thought I had. There it is. Okay. Oh, it didn't stay open for me. Okay, where did that go? RSC student files, class. Wilson, I should actually take this and copy it over. Okay, so I'm going to go here and copy this so that it stays on this computer, maybe. No, maybe not. It's taking it too long. Okay, so if I go over here, this is the text that I'm going to use for the first one. Open with Dreamweaver. This is the 501 text.txt. Okay, so this is a TXT file just like it is in the book. So I'm going to go up here in Dreamweaver and split my screen. This is actually not code, so let me save it. File, save as, and in Dreamweaver, I'm going to have to save it as an HTML document or it won't do correct.
Where's the file at?
These files are in, if you haven't downloaded that zip file, you can go, I'll show you. They're in Canvas. You can find them under Start Here. Is that where I put them? Let's see. Yes. Under Start Here at the very bottom, see LWD5E materials.zip. Illustrator, you shouldn't be in Illustrator.
Yeah, I know.
So if you download this, you should be able to get to it. Okay, I'm going to, here's what I'm going to do. Instead of opening it right in Dreamweaver, it's a text file. So what I really want to do is open a new file in Dreamweaver and then copy this text into there. So I'm going to do, okay, is everybody that wants to do this with me?
Are we doing 5-1?
Yes, but you don't need to open it, that 5-1 in Dreamweaver like I did. You can, because what we're going to do first, I'm going to close this out. I'm going to exit out. And this actually needs to be opened in like Word or something. But what I want to do first, before you open that file, is go into Dreamweaver and do File, New, and HTML. And it should say HTML5. And up here where it says document title, you can go ahead and put what this is, exercise 5-1, and then put your name or initials, either one. I put EX5-1, and then I put my name. You can put your initials, whichever you want to do.
Attach CSS?
No, don't do that. We're not going to do any CSS right now. We're doing straight HTML, and then you click Create. And so then it should look like this. So once you should have, now if your Dreamweaver doesn't look like mine, you can click on split. If it's on code, it's straight code and it doesn't show you when you type in things. Where does this title show up? Y'all remember? Where can I see the title? Because I can't see it in my browser window. Where do I see it?
In the actual,
On the actual browser, right. So if I do, let's see where I'm gonna see it. I should be able, oh, let me move this out of the way. I think that's where it is. HTML, is this the one? Yeah, preview, see down here at the right, you can say preview in browser, and you can pick which browser. So if I do that, save changes. Oh, I want to give it a name. I haven't given it a name. File, save as. And so I don't want to save it where all those other files. Oh, I guess I can. Okay, this one will be exercise 5-1 DW. No, I don't want to answer you. Okay, and so I'm going to save it right here. Just save it where you know where it's at. So now it has a name. And so now when I do preview in browser, device preview, there's nothing showing except the title is in my tab. Oh yeah, let me go back. Okay, preview in browser is right down here on the right. See that little icon that shows mobile and that? So when you click on that, it comes up and should give you the option of Google Chrome app. And so when you actually preview, you should only see that title up here in the tab, but nothing in the browser window, just like it shows us here, because we have not coded anything in the body of our document. So we can go there to the body tag and hit return, and then we have some space. So now in our files, this one text file that we want to copy and paste from, we can import it in Dreamweaver is the best way to do it, but let me show you. Oops, I get Finder. So if we do File, Import, oh, it's not going to let us do it that way because that's going to come in. Who's confused? Did you get to here?
Yeah, it's not letting me do it in.
No, mine made me have to open it in Notepad and then copy it off the Notepad.
Right, that's what I was getting ready to do next. Okay, so like text edit on here, we don't have Notepad, so we have text edit. Have you got Dreamweaver, Lainey, open and got it to here?
Yeah, I tried to open it in
What, that
Google
text
Chrome.
file? Oh,
No, just the regular.
this right here?
Yeah.
Okay.
It wouldn't let me open it in the Chrome.
What does it say?
It just doesn't work.
Yeah, it does. It's probably got a blank screen. Is that right?
Well, no, it just.
Mine had a thing that said, save all the files, including related files.
Mine doesn't do anything.
Okay, you probably have.
No, mine did this.
Okay, in your Dreamweaver, do your Dreamweaver.
That way.
Go down to view, split it, or.
But I'm used to doing it.
Gives you, doesn't let you change.
Because then I
Okay,
can
did
email
you
this to
try
my
to
school
copy
set,
that?
because my school set doesn't have the link. They don't have any-
Oh, you're in developer.
That way I can email this
Yeah.
to school and then boom, we'll look into it.
There you go. Now go up here.
We have to do exercise
You split.
5 to 1 to 3. It's exercise size 5 to 1, 5-2, and 5-3. And apparently she said they can all be. Yeah,
It's
that's
your
why it looks like
Dreamweaver.
this.
I don't know.
It's literally all organized on there. Nice.
Did you do that? Are you in Dreamweaver? Yeah. Okay, try preview.
Ooh. That's.
Okay. Yeah, close that
Cool.
down, close that now. Not Dreamweaver. There it is. Okay.
Oh.
Okay, you're in standard. Go to oh, there you go. Now go. No, you're right. Create.
That's his face.
Yeah.
It should say exercise. It's gonna be like a bunch of different words.
There you go. Now try. Okay, go to view if you want and then you can even switch or use that okay, so now do oh yeah, you want to save yes. Okay, go up here to that always touch screen. Sorry.
There it goes.
Yeah, right. The bottom. There you go.
Okay. So
Yes.
mine does this.
Oh, you want it in vertical?
So mine does this.
I might want to start a new one.
Well,
Okay, let's
Okay, you and, split.
The chair is a chair. The chair is a chair. Chair is a chair. It's not a chair, but that's a chair.
So
but
we'll.
yeah, every time I try to
I
do
think-
this though,
I think it's because you're in.
I didn't understand Python at all. I barely passed the class. I understand
There we go.
HTML better than I know Python.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so now we have our Dreamweaver set up. So what we want to do now is to go over and get that file and just plop it in over here. You can actually put that whole text file, this one called, let me go to it.
Chapter 5-1.
Yes, this one that says Chapter 5 text file. Open, if you're on Mac, then you'll open it with text edit. And if you're on the PC, open it with Notepad.
copy it and paste it.
Yeah, because it's only all text. So we're going to take it here, copy it, and just paste it over here. Okay, so it made all these different paragraphs and stuff. We don't know if that's what we want. So let's look at it. This up here, do you want it to be a paragraph or a header? What do you think? The name of the recipe, what should it be? Sarah, did you get yours up? Okay. What do you think this is? Is this a paragraph? Should this be a paragraph? Tapenade olives.
No, that should be
The header, right? So do we want it to be an H1 since it's the title of our recipe? Yes. So we're going to change that paragraph tag to an H1. So that means we got to change this portion of it to an H1 too. And in Dreamweaver, the way you can tell what that does to your document is you can click refresh down here and it shows you.
I messed up.
Oh, come on.
What's the for that?
No whining. We don't have whiners.
What did I do?
I don't know. Let's see. Oh, you're down here. You went to live. Now, you went to live, which actually, how do you keep getting out of, go to view, go back to split, see, you got it where it won't let you now. Because now you can't, Okay, close Dreamweaver, and let's just open that document. Quit Dreamweaver.
I'm an idiot.
Don't say yeah, don't say yeah. Okay, where did you open that? In text edit?
Yeah.
Okay, so now go to Dreamweaver again. Open Dreamweaver. Yeah, don't say. Okay, now let's see if it has.
There it is. Here we go.
Okay, but it still might not let you go up. It says flip vertically, but somehow you've got it in a mode that I don't know about. You're clicking something that makes it go in that other mode. Okay, go down here and see if it does your preview.
It's doing the
You
same
did.
thing again.
You're clicking something that I don't.
Oh, I know what's wrong. Hold on. It's the wrong one.
You'd have to create a new one again. Just do that. See what happens. Like this one, -1 or something. EX5-1A or something. That's really okay, so create. Then it's all set up. Oh, you have it wrong side. Go to view. And go down to split. Okay, now what you want to do is paste your text in there. Okay, then oh, here, well, put your cursor there. There you go.
You have to be inside the body because the body is the only place that the browser can see. So now go in and fix your, like we did our heading right there, our header 1. Okay, what's the next line? Yes.
I was gonna say, so where it's after where it says ingredients and then starts showing the ingredients, I didn't put them as like a paragraph and then use the BRs to break them.
You should use a list.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's what I use because that's what it told me.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's what, no, this is not done yet.
Okay, that's what I.
No, we just, all we did was copy the text in, so now we've got to modify it.
Okay, because I was like, oh,
Yeah, no.
that's not what I did, but okay.
Okay, so this one, this is a really simple dish to prepare, and it's always a big hit at parties. My father recommends. Okay, so they've got this all in a paragraph tag. So what do you think? Do we want to leave it like that? Or we might want to put, let's see, my father make, then it says make this the night before so that the flavors have time to blend. Just bring it up at room temperature. So this is a quote. So what we probably want this to be is a special content. You remember what we were reading about in chapter 5 was we could do a block quote. So that's what this is showing, a quote symbol here. You can leave that in there if you want, but you can also outside of here put a block quote and it will indent it. So that means, oh, and it automatically put the ending, and we don't want the ending one there. I'm going to take it off and put it here. Now let's refresh and see what that does. Okay, see, that moved that over. I don't know, we may still want to do something different, but we can, like where it says my father recommends, we might want to put that on a different line. Does anybody know how to do that? So if we have this at the end of the paragraph, then that would automatically bring that one down where it says my father recommends. You see, because I put the paragraph ends there, then my father recommends is not inside an element at all, which is really not good structured coding either. So my father recommends might need to be, maybe it needs to be in a different paragraph. So maybe this paragraph here should, let's see what this does to it. Okay, so now instead of the paragraph starting there, the paragraph starts with my father recommends, but then because I use a block quote, it's going to make this indented. Okay, so what do you think ingredients need to be? They shouldn't be a paragraph. What size header you think they need to be? H2. Let's try an H2 because we want it smaller than the title, but we don't want it, we may want to go smaller than that. We'll see what this looks like. That's pretty good, right? So this is semantically putting the elements in that make sense for what the content is. So like here, 1 8-ounce jar. So here what did you do, fall out? Uh-oh. Okay, so this is a list of ingredients. So do we want it to be a bullet list or do we want it, see how it has here, we want to take that off. We don't want a paragraph and these breaks because we need to just do it as a list. So if we do that, then we're going to start right here. Do we want to have an ordered list or an unordered list? Ordered. Okay, so how do we do that element? OL, right? OL means ordered list. So we put that at the top and it's gonna, Dreamweaver is gonna automatically put us an ending one there. So we're gonna have to move it to the end of our list, which will be right here. Now I have to have list items. So usually I indent this down or come down a little bit. And so a list item looks like this. And there again, it's going to put our ending one. So at the end of each item, if we do this, it's going to put them in order numerically. I mean, it will use numbers. So I got another one here. So if you were not in Dreamweaver, you'd be typing all this out. It's doing some of it for us. And then we'll go look at the finished exercises and see how close we are to what they said to do. Because I haven't looked at them either. All right, so now if we refresh, there's our unordered list. Our ordered list. Item 1, item 2, item 3, item 4. They may say it looks better with unordered, so you can do it whichever way you want will be correct for me. So now instructions. What do we need as our element for instructions? To be the same size as ingredients, smaller, larger? What do you think? What'd you put it, Kayla? Oh, she can't hear. We just got her headphones in. What element did you use for instructions?
I just used heading 3.
So you made it smaller than
Yeah,
ingredients.
I can start doing 1, 2, and 3.
Okay, we can try that. Let's see. I don't know what the
It actually will make it look.
what did you look at the finished exercises, what they wanted? I don't know what they wanted.
It didn't say. It just said put headings.
Okay,
That was all. It didn't actually say.
say which ones. Okay, so we'll try heading 3 for instructions. And then our paragraph is probably okay. And this paragraph, that should be fine. So that looks pretty good for a recipe, right? So we're going to do file, save. And then what I was saying about the finished ones, right up here, there's a folder that shows, and you don't have to do this, I'll open these and we'll see how close we were to what their suggestions were. Okay, they did make, oh, they made this a bulleted list and they made this an ordered list, and then they did make ingredients and instructions the same size. Instead of, well, but in instructions, you want, it's important that you do those in order. That's why they did those numeric, but probably the ingredients, it doesn't matter what order you pick them up in. Does that make sense? So we might want to go back and switch ours, but what about the block quote? Did they do it that way? Yes, they did it. Oh, and they put, but they put my father, they left it up here at the top. I like it better the way we did it. Okay, so we might want to go back to ours, and all we have to do on our list up here is change this UL. We don't have to change any of our list item tags. We just do that, and that automatically changes that to a bullet. But what we also want to do then is change this to an H2, this to an H2, and then we want to take these paragraphs off. And we want these to be in an unordered, in an ordered list. So I want to take the paragraphs off. So I'm going to have to change these. Let me go here. Let me go ahead and make my ordered list be up here. I'm going to say OL. And then I'm going to take the cancel tag for my ordered list and put it down here where my last paragraph one is. So then these need list items, right? List item, and at the end, it'll be the cancel list item. Here will be a list item. Command X, and here is the cancel one. This one will be a list item and a, oops, where'd it go? Nope, and a cancel list item I need to have here. Oh, it still did that. Good. No, I don't want it to do that. Okay, maybe it's gonna make me do it here. Dreamweaver's kind of weird sometimes. Okay, so now if I refresh, mine looks exactly like theirs. But you see that that's called semantic coding, because I have done the ordered list where it makes sense that instructions have to be done in order. So that is semantically correct. Semantics just means, like it does in grammar, make it be what the content is meant to be. And so up here, when we buy our ingredients, it doesn't matter what order we buy our ingredients in. So just so we have a list. Everybody get that? Anybody need help? Everybody got it? Okay. So this was part one. Now if I go back to the book, let's see what it tells me to do next. Organizing page content. So you can leave your Dreamweaver up and wait for me just a minute. HTML5 support in Internet Explorer, nearly all browsers today support the HTML5 semantic elements. And for those that don't, creating a style sheet rule that tells browsers to format each one as a block level element is all you need to make them behave correctly. So these were not part of the earlier HTML versions. But in HTML5, they decided that instead of using what we used to use divs for every division, rather than having a section, an article, a nav, a side, header, footer, and main. But what happens is every single HTML document has to have certain sections. It may have articles, but it always has to have a navigation, right? And it always has to have a side portion on your page, a header section, a footer section, and a main section. So they made in HTML5, they made new tag elements or new HTML elements. And that's what these are. Unfortunately, in Internet Explorer, they don't always do it correctly. And that's what this is, a fix for Internet Explorer, but we're not going to worry about that right now. So web pages these days are loaded with different types of content, mastheads, sidebars, ads, footers, more ads, even more ads. So we want to have a main section, a header section. The header section is always right after the body. Now, remember, we have a header section also at the top that's part of our, it's called a head. There's a difference between the head and the header because the head does not show up in our browser window. Only the things that are inside the body are going to show up in the browser window. So here we have a header section, which is where the title would go. And if we had a graphic that was part of the header, that would go in there. So the W3C HTML5 specification states that pages should have only one main section. That means that element can only be used one time in your whole document page. Now that doesn't mean in the whole website, but it means in each page. Each HTML document can only have one main section. It can only, it should not be nested within an article, a side, header, footer, or nav. So you cannot put the main inside of a HTML element article. So the main element is the most recent addition to the roster of the HTML5 grouping elements. Those are called grouping elements. So headers and footers, web authors have been labeling header and footer sections in their documents for years. It was kind of a no-brainer that full-fledged header and footer elements would come in handy. Let's start with headers. So right after the body, if you have an image logo that you want to put, it should go inside the header and then any kind of title. Navigation is going to be list items. And you notice it's an unordered list because those are the other pages that are going to be in your web page. Now we have to know how to add links, because we want this page home to link to the home page. We want the blog to link to the blog page. Then we have a footer. At the bottom of every page, there should be a copyright and the author. And so that's always in the footer. Then sections and articles, the section element has a broad range of uses, from dividing a whole page into major sections or identifying thematic sections within a single article. So if you were reading a magazine article, you would have sections, right? So that's what this represents, is if you have an article, that's your page, your whole page is called the article. Well, inside that article, you might have sections. Use the article element for self-contained works that could not stand alone or be reused in a different context, such as syndication. So it is useful for magazine or newspaper articles, blog posts, comments, or other items that could be extracted for external use. So a long article could be broken into a number of sections as shown here. A side is sidebars. So when you go to a main web page, you're going to see that it's divided up and has sidebars sometimes. So that's what you use that element for. Here's the nav element, which is actually an unordered list. An address is where you're linking to. Then there's the inline elements. So this is a list of all the inline elements down here in 5-1. So you can use a hypertext link is called an anchored element, abbreviation, a bold, BDI indicates text that may have directional requirements. We probably won't use these two very often. You'll use a line break a lot. You might use a citation. This one you'll use a lot. It means italicized. That's what emphasized text is. Used to be called italic, but they don't use that anymore. I don't know why they're listing it here. Pardon? The M is the one, emphasis is what they have started using in, is more standard. Then you have subscript, superscript, time. These are some that you can use. Oh, okay, here are some of them that are obsolete. They're no longer used. They were in 4.01. Mark text as strong only when it makes sense semantically, not just to make text bold. So if the text is something that needs to stand out, then you use strong. And that's what it's showing you here. Arlo is very smart. Arlo is very smart. So Arlo and very down here, you're using the emphasized. Underline, if you want text underlined, you use a U. S is strike through. Okay, so these are some of the things that we can use. We're not going to look at the CSS properties yet, and that's what that's talking about. Short quotations you can use, like instead of the block quote like we used in the recipe, if we wanted something inside our paragraph quoted, then we can just use the Q. So remember in there where we had that quote in the recipe, we could have used the Q up there at the top instead of using those symbols. Okay, there's some more examples of some. So we should be getting to, for more information on all these, here's where you can go. You notice that all the rules, and I'm going to click on this so you can see where this is. All of the rules are at w3.org, which is where all of the rules for HTML semantics are located. You see, if you want to know if something is semantically correct, here's something that it talks about too. Then you go to the W3C, that's their recommendations. They cannot enforce any of this. They're not a governing body. They're just a consortium, it's called, that tries, if all the browsers will agree, to cause their pages to be rendered this way. There's a guy named Jeffrey Zellman, and he will be in our book some. You don't have to go here. I want to show you something. If I can find his site, find it. And it's a lot easier. That's him. I saw him live. I was trying to find that crash. No, that's not it. A list apart. This is it. Okay, in here, and I'll list this because it's a really good site. It's called a listapart.com. And what this does is anytime there's new, he's part of the W3 consortium, and anytime there's some new rules, it would be listed here. See, Designing with Web Standards, 3rd edition. He's written a lot of books here about it. A List Apart was written in 1998, and Happy Cog Design Studios in 1999 co-founded the Web Design Conference, and that's what I went to, an event apart. Co-founded and publishes a book apart, Designing with the Web Standards. So in here, he gives you, like, you can browse by authors that have written in his magazine, but let me see, does he have Designing with Web Standards? This should be, Yeah, that's just a Wikipedia. But anyway, in here, you can find out how to code specific things. A list apart, that was an update in 2017. Nothing falls like success. Let me see what this one is. Fails like success. A family buys a house they can't afford. Okay, so if we were to look at this, and I was to look at the inspect here, it's going to show you, it's not going to open it up right now. There it is. What all code he used in this page. But so here's the code that he used in this page. And you can go down and inspect it, but we're going to go back to ours here. Let's see, where did it go? Dreamweaver. Oops, the book. I got to go to the book first. Okay, so we're going to go down. This is where it talks about how to put a date and time in. But we're going to run out of time because I think there's something like, I think there's only 3 exercises that we do in it. Yeah, here's 2. Okay, identifying inline elements. This is exercise 5-2. So this little post for the Black Goose Bistro news page will give you an opportunity to identify and mark up a variety of inline elements. See if you can find phrases to mark up accurately with the following elements. Because markup is always somewhat subjective, so that means it's kind of your own opinion somewhat. Your resulting markup may not look exactly like my final markup, but there is an opportunity to use all of the preceding elements, these up here, in the article. For extra credit, there is a phrase that could have 2 elements applied to it. Hint, look for a term in another language. Remember to nest them properly by closing the inner elements before you close the outer one. Also be sure that all text level elements are contained within block elements. You can write the tags right on this page, or if you want to use a text editor and see the results in a browser, this text file is available along with the resulting code. All right, so we're going to go again to the exercise 2. Let me go outside. And it's text again, so we need to open it with text edit or notepad. Don't open it inside of Dreamweaver. Do what? No, open it in text. Oh, yeah, we're going to start a new one. Yes. So here we've got, I'm getting ready. It should open in text edit somewhere. Let's see. Come on. Mine's going so slow. Let me close this one. Okay, let me see if this. Yes, we're going to use a new one. So we're going to go over to in Dreamweaver. We're going to say file, file new, HTML, create. And up here in the document title, this one is exercise 5-2 and your initials. Create it. And then we'll have to save it too. File, save as, and hopefully it's in the same area. I'm going to put it.
Why did it do like this again? I'm so confused. Oh, there it goes.
Okay, so just fix. All right, so here we go. Now we want to take that we did with text edit. Where'd it go? Right here. And just copy and paste it inside the body. Be sure that you have it inside the body. So before you paste, put your cursor down here inside the body and then do Command 5. So now it's got an article tag, which I'm going to move down one just because I don't like it up there by the body. Then we have header. Okay, it's not showing up. I'm going to put refresh and there it is. Okay, so now I'm going to look at what ones it tells us to use. It says to use a bold, a break, a cite, a definition, an emphasis, an italics, quote, small, and time. Okay, so we're going to look at posted by BGB November 15th, 2016. So of these inline elements, is that maybe is there a time in here? What should be that one? The header. It's right up here inside the header. So we want, let's see, did it give us an example in the book here? Posted by, okay, let's go up here and see where they used, what they used first for like that. Okay, time, date. Here's one for date. I can use time, date, time for the date. Is yours up there? You got it? Okay, so posted is what I'm not sure if that's a citation. The mark element indicates a word that may be considered especially relevant to the reader. Is it a search term? No, that's probably not it. Let's see, definition, defining terms. I'm going to point out, okay, citations. Passages of this article are inspired by, no, that isn't probably it. Let's see, abbreviation, quote. You see one that we might want to use on that? I know that we want to use, oh, we're running out of time. Okay, so you'll have to finish 3 and upload it, but let me look at, okay, here's what we want to do in 2. Oops, I opened it wrong. Okay, in 2, okay, in 2, what I want to do is leave the paragraph, but that's what I thought. I want to put this time date in. So over here, I'm going to go down where right after the comma in posted by BGB, and I'm going to use a time element. And inside there is date time, which Dreamweaver comes up for you. And inside that date time, I'm going to put this inside the quotes. So if I put it here, now when I refresh, oh, I still didn't do something right. Oh, I didn't end my time element. Needs to end right there. There has to be, if it doesn't work, then it means you didn't cancel it out. So here, if I refresh, okay, where did it go? It's still not working right up there. Let's see. Date, time. Did you make yours work?
Yeah. Really big at top.
Why did it not? Here, it's not working. It's not noticing my cancel tag for some reason. Is yours real big? Oh, I see why I didn't put a cancel bracket in there. Okay, so right here, there has to be a end of my time, and then it should do it. Huh, now it took mine off. Time posted by BGB. Try something here. I don't think it went out there and showed it. No, it's just wiping that out. That's too weird. Okay, let me look here. I'm gonna try doing it just like that. Now it's got it up there. Time equals, Oh, I had to change it to 2016-11-15. So the only other things that are changed in here, you go down through and let's see. Next, it has low and slow H2. Paragraph emphasizes the word extremely. So if we go down to extremely, inside the paragraph, we want to put an inline emphasis tag. So it went ahead and put the cancel one needs to go after. So now if I refresh, you'll see that it italicized extremely in there. So you can finish using those inline tags. So we used block line. We learned block level tags are like paragraph, header, all those. And then these are inline tags because they're nested inside paragraph. Now, what would happen, do you think, if I took this cancel here and I take it out here and I put it all the way down here right before my paragraph? What do you think it's going to do before I show you? Anybody know? What do you think it's going to do? So I opened an emphasis here and I'm canceling it here. What's it going to do to all this text? And make it all italicized, right? If I do refresh, so whatever I see, it did the whole thing. So if I want just one word, then I have to make sure that I put my cancel tag around just that one word. And I couldn't put it out here outside of the paragraph, my cancel. It has to be inside, okay? All right, so you guys do 5.3 and then also chapter 6, okay? And if you don't get all the exercises done or if you have questions, be sure and write them down so that next time you can ask me. Because if you're working through it and you don't understand something, this is the part that's real important, that you understand the basic HTML, what you're doing, because you can code anything. If you understand all you're dealing with, you're not programming. Okay, lady? We're not programming. We're just marking up text. So those of you that are, say, I don't want to code, I don't want to be a programmer. Well, HTML is just considered markup. It's just text markup. That's what HTML stands for, hypertext markup language, okay? So you don't have to use, you do have to use some logic skills to look at it and say, what should be a header one, what should be, but some of this is subjective, which means yours might not always look the same as somebody else's, okay? All right. See, this is more fun than programming, right? Like it better? Yeah. Okay. So we're going to get to build a web page, and you're going to get to put some graphics and some images in here next. That's what chapter 6 is about. So is getting the images in there. All right. See you guys next Tuesday. If you need anything, email me, and I'll try to get some of that graded this week, the rest of the week. So, because I know I haven't graded much of y'all's.